everyone, dear audience and subscribers. I wish you all a happy new year. Today, I'm honored to speak about a woman whose life was a living example of love, compassion, and selfless service. Mother Teresa, one of the greatest figures the world has ever known. Mother Teresa showed us that true greatness does not come from power or wealth, but from serving humanity with kindness. She dedicated her entire life to helping the poorest of the poor, the sick, the abandoned, and the dying.
I personally am most unworthy, but I brought a girl child from the street, and I could see in the face of the child that the child was hungry. God knows how many days they had not eaten. So I gave her a piece of bread, and the little one started eating the bread crumb by crumb. And I said to the child, eat the bread, eat the bread. And she looked at me and said, I'm afraid to eat the bread because I'm afraid when it is finished, I will be hungry again. This is a reality. Maybe we are not hungry for a piece of bread, but maybe there is somebody there in the family who is unwanted, unloved, uncared, forgotten. There is love. Love begins at home. And love to be true has to hurt. And this is what I bring before you. To love one another with great love.
Mother Teresa was born on 26 August 1910 in Skopje, which is now part of North Macedonia. Her birth name was Antigone Bochahi. From a very young age, she was deeply influenced by her mother's compassion and generosity towards the poor. These values shaped her future path. At the age of 18, she decided to dedicate herself to God and join the Sisters of Loyalty, an Irish community of nuns. She later came to India in 1929, a country that would become her lifelong home and mission. Mother Teresa initially worked as a teacher at St. Mary High School in Kolkata. She loved teaching children, guiding them, but her heart was deeply troubled by the extreme poverty, hunger, and suffering she saw outside the school walls. In 1946, during a train journey, she experienced what she called a call within a call. She felt a strong inner calling to leave the comfort of the convent and serve the poorest people living on the street. In 1948, Mother Teresa stepped out into the slums of Kolkata wearing a simple white sari with a blue border, a symbol that later became famous across the world. With no money, no support, and no fear, she began caring for her sick and homeless.
Whether or not Mother Teresa is a living saint, to these lucky ones among India's starving millions.
Also told me that you thought that it would be harder for poor people, say in my country, in Australia, than it is for the poor people here in Calcutta.
Yeah, I find it much more difficult, the poverty of our poor people in Melbourne and in New York and London, because if I pick up a person dying of hunger, I give him a plate of rice I fulfill the need. But the people who are lonely, feel full of pain inside, unwanted, unloved, who have been forgotten by their own children maybe, who are a throwaway of society and dying of sheer loneliness. I think that's much greater poverty, and a plate of rice and a piece of bread and butter is not going to remove. And this kind of people, we have many.
Mother Teresa's concern for the wealthy man's poverty comes as a shock when you consider her daily environment. It could be said there are really no slums in her city of Calcutta, that Calcutta is one gigantic slum. While most large cities throb with life, this place is screaming in pain. For Calcutta's millions of street people, living conditions could hardly be worse than they are. But according to Mother Teresa, there are problems just as bad in places like Australia.
And I think, say for example, in Melbourne, we work with the alcoholics. No, this to me is a very great disease, and a disease that needs lots of understanding love and real tender love.
Seeing Mother Teresa and her tiny army at battle with Calcutta's misery, Calcutta is indescribable about the black city of 7 million, problem of overpopulation.
No, because there are other people who can do that. Mine is to pick up that person and help him. If he has to die with dignity. And if he's hungry, just to feed him. If he's naked, just to clothe him.
She started teaching poor children under a tree, cleaning wounds of the injured, feeding the hunger, and comforting the dying. What began a small act of kindness soon became a global movement. In 1950, Mother Teresa founded the Missionaries of Charity, a religious congregation dedicated to serving the poorest of the poor. Their mission's core values were simple: serve with love, respect the dignity of every human being, see God in everyone. Over time, the Missionaries of Charity spread across the world. Today, they operate in more than 130 countries, running homes for the dying, orphanages, leprosy centers, hospitals, and schools. One of her famous institutions was Nirmala Hillside, a home for the dying, where people were allowed to pass away with dignity, care, and love. Mother Teresa believed in small acts of love. She once said, "Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love." She thought that compassion does not require wealth or education. It only requires a kind heart. She never judged people of their religion, caste, or background. For her, every human life was precious. She also believed that loneliness was the greatest poverty. While she worked among the poor, she often reminded the world that even the rich and powerful can suffer from loneliness and neglect. Mother Teresa's selfless service did not go unnoticed. She received many national and international awards, including Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Nobel Peace Prize. When she accepted the Nobel Peace Prize, she refused a traditional banquet and requested that the money be used to feed the poor. This act perfectly reflected her values. Mother Teresa's work was not without challenges. She faced criticism, financial difficulties, and health problems. She never allowed criticism to weaken her mission. She continued her work with humanity, silence, and faith. Even during illness, she remained active. traveling across countries to spread her message of love and peace. Mother Teresa passed away on 5 September 1997 in Kolkata. The government of India honored her with a state funeral reflecting the immense respect and love people had for her. In 2016, she was declared a saint by the Roman Catholic Church and she is known as Saint Teresa of Calcutta. Mother Teresa's life teaches us many powerful lessons, some other without expecting anything in return. Respect every human life. Kindness can change the world. True happiness comes from giving. Love is the strongest force in the world. She showed us that one person with compassion and determination can touch millions of lives. Mother Teresa was not just a social worker or a religious figure. She was a symbol of humanity itself. Her life reminds us that the world does not need more wealth or power but more love, empathy, and compassion. Let us honor her legacy by helping those in need, speaking kindly, and treating everyone with respect. As Mother Teresa said, if you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. Let us all try to be that one person who makes a difference.
Somebody there in the family who is unwanted, unloved, uncared, forgotten. There is the love. Love begins at home. And love to be true has to hurt. I never forget the little child who taught me a very beautiful lesson. They heard in Calcutta, the children, that Mother Teresa has no sugar for her children. And this little one, Hindu boy, 4 years old, he went home and he told his parents, I will not eat sugar for 3 days. I will give my sugar to Mother Teresa. How much a little child can eat? After 3 days, they brought him to our house. And there was this little one who could scarcely pronounce my name. He loved with great love. He loved until it hurt. And this is what I bring before you. To love one another until it hurts. But don't forget that there are many children, many men and women who haven't got what you have. And remember to love them until it hurts. Sometime, one evening, a gentleman came to our house and said, there is a Hindu family with 8 children, have not eaten for a long time. Do something for them. And I took rice and I went immediately. And there was this mother, and those little ones' faces, shining eyes from sheer hunger. She took the rice from my hands. She divided it into 2 and she went out. When she came back, I asked her, where did you go? What did you do? And one answer she gave me, they are hungry also. She knew that the next door neighbor, a Muslim family, was hungry. What surprised me most, not that she gave the rice, but what surprised me most, that in her suffering, in her hunger, she knew that somebody else was hungry. And she had the courage to share. And she had the love to share. And this is what I want you to love the poor. And never turn your back to the poor. For in turning your back to the poor, you are turning it to Christ. For he had made himself the hungry one, the naked one, the homeless one, so that you and I have an opportunity to love him. Because where is God? How can we love God? It's not enough to say, my God, I love you. But my God, I love you. Here. I can enjoy this, but I give up. I could eat that sugar, but I give that sugar. If I stay here the whole day and the whole night, you would be surprised of the beautiful things that people do to share the joy of giving. And so my prayer for you is that truth, we bring prayer in our homes. And from the fruit of prayer will be that we believe that in the poor it is Christ. And if we really believe, we will begin to love. And if we love naturally, we will try to do something. First, in our own home, next door neighbor, in the country we live, in the whole world. And let us all join in that one prayer. God, give us courage to protect the unborn child. For the child is the greatest gift of God to a family, to a nation, and to the whole world. God bless you.